Some people might think of what you said about 5G and think you're absolutely insane. Where
Well,
is this information coming from? Why should people be concerned about it?
as I mentioned before, Richard Blumenthal, senator from Connecticut, addressed the leaders of the telecom industry who were in front of him in the Senate, and they could not come up with any safety tests done on this. Now, we already know that wireless is harmless in the 4G mode. I decided a couple of years ago I should write something on wireless. I could see there was growing concern about it, but I realized that it was going to probably take me a long time to become expert enough in this topic to write a blog post about it. So I did the next best thing and the much quicker thing, which I interviewed Cece Doucette, who's a full-time wireless educator. And I asked her all the normal lay questions about why wireless is harmful. And it is harmful. And I would recommend that people download or buy a disc of the movie Generation Zapped. We are in a video-oriented age right now. Generation Zapped won a award as the best documentary at the DC Independent Film Festival, and they have it's easy to watch. They've got many interviews with doctors and scientists from around the world, as well as victims of wireless technology. And it's a great place to start if you're looking into the potential harms of wireless. And we're talking about something that's way below what 5G would do. Now, believe it or not, there are actually thousands of peer-reviewed studies on the harmful effects of wireless. And for just to give you some examples, in 2018, the U.S. National Toxicology Program did a $30 million study linking wireless radiation to tumors and DNA damage. And this was backed up by another 2018 study by the Ramazzini Institute in Italy, which reported very similar findings: DNA damage and cancer linked to from wireless radiation. But it's also evidence of heart irregularities, dizziness, lowered sperm counts, which we're seeing a great decline in America right now. And when you see people guys carrying their cell phones in their pocket right next to their vital organs, and you can understand why that's happening. And it's not just the fact that you're getting radiation from cell phone towers now. It's the fact that your smartphone carries multiple transmitters which are giving EMF's electromagnetic frequency back. You've got a Bluetooth transmitter and a location transmitter and a Wi-Fi transmitter goes on. If you watch the movie Generation Zap, there's an interview there with an Asian lady, a doctor, who was carrying her smartphone in her bra. And then she got tumors, several tumors right where the smartphone was with all its transmitters. Now, there's a lot of correlation you can make with that. Now, again, I'm a registered nurse, retired last year, but I used to take care of a young man in his mid-20s, and he worked at a job where he always would have his cell phone right next to his ear, right, on his job, and he got a serious brain tumor. And his parents, they took him to the hospital and said, we're seeing a lot of cases like this where people who are carrying their cell phones right next to their head are getting brain tumors in that area. Now, Senator Ted Kennedy was right-handed from my state and state of Massachusetts, and he carried his cell phone. He was always talking to his cell phone right here. He died from a brain tumor on the right side of his head. But on the other hand, John McCain, who's left-handed, he would put his cell phone right here all the time. He got tumors, fatal tumors on the left side of his head. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to start figuring out there's a correlation here going on.
Right.
And there's, we can talk about things that people can do, but unfortunately, believe it or not, they say that the radiation from 5G would be about 25 times stronger. It's military grade. And instead of having the cell phone towers a mile or so from your home like they would be now, they're restricted. They're going to put the cell phone towers right outside your home, every 2 to 12 houses, they say. So you'd be absorbing radiation 24/7 because they have to put it near your home because these 5G wavelengths don't travel very far. You can imagine the risk you're putting yourself at. And so far, not only Brussels, but the Netherlands and Switzerland and Cyprus and parts of Ireland have called for a complete moratorium on 5G until safety testing is done. People can see the risk, and there's scientists out there who are speaking up around the world. You can see some of them interviewed in this movie, Generation Zap. This is a serious matter. And one of the reasons why scientists are speaking out in this matter is that they can see that this is going to harm them, not just your average Joe, but it's
Yeah,
at
the
risk for
skin in the
them and their
game.
families. Who wants to get sick? Nobody does. Why can't we have safety testing on 5G to see if it's harmful or not? Why would you want to install a product that has no investigation as to what it will do to you? But we see all of these billions of dollars being invested in this technology, and this tells you that there is an agenda at hand that goes beyond just downloading movies faster and helping us to we're working plenty fast right now with our downloads. Um, the idea that you would go ahead with this to increase your connectivity without doing a health and risk investigation does not make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense at all. And in fact, AT&T, I just heard this from a friend of mine. He texted it to me that AT&T turned on 5G in 22 markets this week. So it seems like despite what a lot of the scientists have come out and said, and despite what the correlation is very clearly between this and a rise in cancer rates, and you talked about people holding their cell phone in certain areas and then coincidentally, I guess, getting tumors in those areas. These telephone companies, the telecommunication companies are continuing to promulgate this, and it seems like 5G is the way of the future, according to big tech and according to what these phone companies are trying to establish. But for the average person who's awake, I mean, what can you do? How do you even prevent the health effects from cell phone towers right outside of your house?
This is why there's a fight on. Actually, the town I live in, we were able to stop 5G. The town selectmen were, the CC Doucette, who I interviewed, she gave a talk at a town library, and one of the town selectmen was there. And he alerted the rest of the town selectmen when 5G was going to be introduced in our town, or at least they were talking about the small cells, building the small cells that would eventually transmit the 5G. The selectmen were ready for them, and I testified, and another woke person in my town testified. And we thought we had no chance against Verizon because the FCC has been trying to tell the towns they can't do anything about it. The FCC is saying that as long as it conforms to our safety standards, well, the FCC's safety standards were set back in 1996 when it was 2G, and the only safety test that the FCC ever did was they tested a mannequin that had gel in its head, and they said if the gel doesn't increase in temperature, then it's safe. Well, we've got thousands of studies since then, so the FCC needs to get, people need to let their congressmen tell the FCC to get current with the times, that there's all these peer-reviewed scientific journal articles that are showing that this is harmful, and we can't be forcing towns to take it anyway. Our town was able to keep it out. But as far as the individual things people can do, in addition to contacting the legislators, I know in Massachusetts we've got about 9 bills addressing wireless risk, opting out of smart meters and demanding that at the point of sale that people be advised about the risks that come with a smartphone. But some of the things people can do at home would include minimizing your risk of exposure to Wi-Fi by, using Ethernet cables and hardwiring things. Another thing you can do is don't keep we were talking about don't keep your cell phone right next to your body. Keep it away from you or keep it in airplane mode. Turn it off when not in use. And the other thing you can do is you can buy an acoustimeter. I've got one, here. I was reluctant to buy an acoustimeter because they cost, maybe $200 to $400. And I didn't want to learn to use another tech device. But after I started learning about the high risk from these things, I said, well, I better check out my home and find out where the risks are. So an acoustimeter, what it'll do is it'll show you where there is harmless radiation coming. And if it's perfectly fine, it'll be green. If it's dangerous, at a dangerous level, it'll be red. And if it's intermediate range, it'll be yellow. And then that'll tell you where you've got an area in your home you need to address. So those are some things you can do. Contact your legislators, get an acoustimeter, hardwire your stuff, and don't keep a cell phone on right next to your body for long periods of time. You're really setting yourself up for some health risks that way.
Well, there you have it. We're trying to also give you solutions here and not just tell you